Hey Hotshots, Jess with Emotional Fire Academy here today to talk about struggling with crying as a highly sensitive person. Hot topic today. Now subscribe to my channel if you are an HSP looking to evolve this year, looking to make peace with your tears. We do all kinds of stuff here about personal growth for highly sensitive people, so please join us if you are into that and ready to grow this year. Welcome, I'm Jess. I am a master NLP practitioner and former firefighter. And I love talking about emotional evolution. So I have a new course out, by the way, a new mini course. If crying is a thing for you, if you have a lot of stories about crying, go take the course. Like, it will seriously get you on the path to being able to see things from a different perspective and thus change them. And that's also what we're going to talk about today. But the link to the mini course is below. Emotional Mastery Basics for HSPs. It's a great start. What can I say? It's where I started. It's what helped me. It's what helped me get to where I'm at, which is whatever the heck I want to be, because I'm free of any of the labels and having to worry about anything else. So you can be there too. No, you can do this. So crying. Let's talk about crying. I get a lot of comments about crying. I get a lot of comments about crying in my videos. I get a lot of stories about what made people cry and what people think it means about crying. I'm here to dispel all of these myths about crying, because crying isn't the actual issue. The water coming out of your face isn't the issue. It's the meaning that we're giving to the crying, right? Because crying can be on the same level as all of these things. Burping, farting, exhaling, pooping, sneezing, hiccuping. They're all things coming out of your body. Crying is literally on the same spectrum as this. What makes it different is that you have an association between crying and some judgment about yourself. And you can have judgments about yourself with these other things, like, farting. If I fart, I'm not a lady. If I if I fart, I'm gross or whatever. These are all just, we take a body symptom of something our body is doing, and then we attach a meaning to it, and we make this little equation. And all you have to do is dissolve the equation. Because in terms of emotional mastery, nothing means nothing. And you can really, nothing means anything. Everything means nothing. It really depends on what you want it to mean. You make your own meaning in life. You are the one assigning the meaning. You are the one assigning the meaning. So remember, it's the meaning of the crying that's the issue. So the beautiful thing again about this is that whatever you've conditioned yourself to believe, you can also uncondition yourself to believe. So you learned at some point that crying meant that maybe you think you're weak for crying, you're a sissy, you're sensitive, you're a baby, you're attention seeking, you're fragile, whatever. This doesn't mean anything. Crying doesn't mean that. This equation is false. We give things truth by what we assign as truth, how we assign truth. Crying is just water coming out of your face. That's all it is. It's just water coming out of your face. It doesn't have to mean anything. And if we don't label something as a problem, it won't be a problem. We don't really label most of these things as a problem. We just experience them with a certain degree of neutrality, and then they come and go, and it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't cause us suffering when we do them, or resistance, or self-loathing. But with crying, for some reason, crying was the one body function that got associated with a lot of self-judgment. So let's bust that up today. The best way to start dealing with crying, if you hate when you cry and your voice quakes and you get so upset and the tears come up. I've been there. I'm not judging you. I've been there. I understand. It's horrible. It's horrible to feel like you don't have control of a bodily function. But it's the equation. It's the association with, I cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm upset. I cry when I'm frustrated. I cry when there's a rush of hormones in my body. I cry when blah. again, we've created these equations. We've conditioned ourselves to have this body reaction. We could have just as easily conditioned ourselves to sneeze every time we got sad or scared or happy. Some people sneeze when they get happy. There's got to be someone out there that has that conditioning. So I want to expand your view on this. I want to bring some consciousness to it, some playfulness. So yes, I am making this a little bit more lighthearted, but you get the point, right? It's just a conditioning. You've conditioned yourself, when you feel a certain way, you cry. And then what I'm dealing with is the self-judgment that comes after or during the crying, the resistance to want to cry, which probably makes us cry even more. So we want to get to a place of neutrality. Neutrality is really acceptance. Neutrality is just witnessing something, being part of it, and then not making any judgments about it, just letting it be what it is, and then it passes. Acceptance and neutrality are the same thing, right? If we're just accepting something for what it is, we're not fighting it, we're not pushing against it, we're not, we're just kind of allowing it to be. And so one of the great steps, the first steps that a lot of people don't talk about, is just meeting something with neutrality. Meet it with neutrality. I talked about this in the obnoxious noises video. I highly recommend you check that out. I'll put the link above. But that's the first step to changing anything, is meeting it with a sense of neutrality so that you can then transcend, right? We have to get to neutrality first before we can change something. So we have to come to just accept it as it is. It's just a neutral condition, and then we can go above and transcend it or decide to condition ourselves differently. Or, it's kind of, when you go up a ladder, you have to hit neutrality first before you go up, before you can change. And so that's a great first step. And that's what I'm proposing this video, just learning how to meet your tears with neutrality. Because this will eliminate the suffering. The suffering is the thoughts you're having. The suffering part of the tears are the thoughts that you're thinking about yourself as you're crying, or after you've cried, the thoughts you're thinking about yourself, the judgments you're making about yourself. That's the suffering part. That's the painful part. That's the part that if it was gone, it would just be water coming out of your face, and it would be met with neutrality. And the great part about this is we're the one having the thoughts. There are thoughts. There are thoughts, so we can take full responsibility for them. We can start to change them if we bring consciousness to our thoughts. So when we're in the moment, when we're crying, and if we stay unconscious, there's kind of like a differentiation. If we stay unconscious, we allow our old programs to run. So all our old beliefs and conditionings about tears are going to run. They're going to play in our heads. We're going to think the same thoughts. It's going to run in our heads. If we are conscious and aware, we turn back inward. Whatever we're paying attention to out there that's making us cry, we turn back inward, turn into ourselves, attend to ourselves, and bring consciousness to what the thoughts that we're thinking, because the meaning are the thoughts that we're thinking. We're assigning meaning through thought. And so if we can pay attention to the thoughts we're thinking and then shape them, start to shape them into, catch yourself when you're starting to think, oh, I'm such a baby. I can't believe I'm crying. I'm so embarrassed. People are thinking, no. Just kind of catch ourselves. There's water coming out of my face. So what? There's water coming out of my face. So what? So what? There's water coming out of my face. So what? I accept this. There's water coming out of my face. And we can go into a sense of neutrality. We can find in our consciousness a point of neutrality and go into that point. Go into that point of neutrality where we're just accepting. There's water coming out of my face. So what? Because we don't want to, if we let the old programs run, we're reinforcing our beliefs about crying and what it means about us and what that means about our personality. And no, we don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. There are other options available to us. It doesn't mean that we're anything. Tears don't mean that we're anything. Just like hiccuping doesn't mean you're a serious person or a silly person or an idiot or a snake charmer or whatever. Crying doesn't mean anything about you. It has no bearing on your personality, who you are as a person. It's just water coming out of your face. That's it. It's just water coming out of your face. You feel the simplicity. When you really drop into that, you can feel the simplicity in neutrality and acceptance and just the relief of it doesn't mean anything about me. I can be whoever I want to be. So what? There's water coming out of my face. So what? So what? And that's where we start to, even in this act, we are taking back our creative power, right? Taking back our decision making to be who we want to be. You know, to strip away meaning from things that don't mean anything and to assign the meaning elsewhere, to the places that we do want the meaning to be. And so this is how we craft our personality, how we shape our personality, how we, decide not to let tears define us. I'm not defined by my tears. There's water coming out of my face. So what? Doesn't mean anything about me. Doesn't mean I'm sensitive. Doesn't mean I'm fragile, frail, sissy, baby, whatever term that you're turning inwards and making meaning out of. That equation, don't make that equation true. Doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean anything. You can make it mean whatever you want. It could be magical. It could be unicorn tears. So, and as far as wondering or thinking or projecting what other people are thinking about you when you're crying, again, we're not in their head. So we're making an assumption about what they're thinking, right? We cannot read their mind. We're making an assumption about what they're thinking. So whatever we think they're thinking is always an assumption that we're crafting. Again, these are thoughts that we are thinking. So beautiful, we can take responsibility for that. We can say, I'm gonna assume they're thinking something differently of me. I'm gonna assume that they're sympathetic. I'm gonna assume that it doesn't mean anything to them either if I'm crying. I'm gonna assume that they feel whatever for me. Whatever you want them to feel. Whatever you want them to feel, that's what you project onto them. If you really make that assumption, don't assume, why assume something that's negative? Like they think I'm weak. They think I'm, no. Again, what you think about what they're thinking is still your thoughts, still yours, ours. So take it back. I think that it doesn't bother them that I cry. I think that they're okay with me crying. I think that they don't even notice. They don't even notice that I'm crying. I think that they are going to give me a hug when I cry, and I like hugs. So think something more positive about what they're thinking, because it's an assumption anyway. Whatever you're thinking, you're assuming it. You might as well make it something positive that you're assuming about them, because you don't know what they're thinking. And so that makes it better for you. So these are all about being softer on ourselves, being gentler on ourselves, dissolving meaning that knocks us down and just removing it. We can just remove it. Meet tears with neutrality, meet tears with acceptance. Let me know what you thought of this video. I hope it helped. Next time you start crying, remember, there's water coming out of my face. So what? I accept this. I'm okay. There's water coming out of my face. It doesn't mean anything about me. Neutrality is a great place to go. So let me know what you thought. Leave a comment below, and don't hesitate to sign up for the mini course if you're ready to start transcending a lot of the thoughts that you're having that maybe deteriorate who you are and don't make you feel good, and create a sense of suffering and grief and sadness and anger and everything else, because emotional mastery is the key out of this, my friends, and I can help you do that. So check that course out below. Have a great day. Hope this helped.